Oh, you mean you got someone else coming?
In an hour.
What happens here? Can we talk about this?
It's
I don't
on.
understand what's here. I don't like.
This is Mike Young, Stories That Need to Be Told. We're mid-sentence with my good friend of more than 20 years, Doug Ellin, creator of the hit show Entourage. Started out in comedy when I met him. We got Stock Tip Dave in the house. Doug walked in, and we just pick up where we left off. I mean,
yeah, but we met at basketball, so hopefully we're going to talk about some of my underrated skills as well.
Nobody knows this probably. It never came up in the it was never written into the show, but Doug Ellin had phenomenal hands, semi-slow feet, but a very high IQ.
High IQ.
In men's league basketball.
Like a little Chris Paul-esque.
Like if Chris Paul was 61 years old.
And slow and Jewish.
Slow Jewish. You know what I mean? With knees that were about to break, Doug Ellin had that
can
game.
we just talk about at all? Can we go anywhere? I mean, that Chris Paul last night was one of...
That's the best thing I've seen.
It's one of the most amazing things and one of the most tragic things I've ever seen, but they ended up winning the game. But if he can't play...
He's out game 6. He's out. He's out.
I love Chris Paul, and there's no one in the NBA who deserves to win it more than him. I mean, he is taking this team on his back. Harden did nothing.
Is he officially out for Game 6?
He's ruled out for Game 6, and they said that he saved the Rockets. Like I said, he saved the Rockets because James Harden was like 5 of 21 with like 11 turnovers. He just wasn't there.
Really bad.
I didn't even watch the game because I was too worried about my vertigo kicking back in.
Now Mike Young, who I know for 25 years, has had ailments and illnesses, and he's like a tough Jewish kid, but he's always hurt. He's always sick. You know what? It's funny because Mike always likes to say that we look alike, but he says he's me with broader shoulders, and I say you're me with hypochondria on a level that's like I'm a hypochondriac, but you're like a whole other thing.
I've been to 3 doctors. They've all said the same thing, and on the way here, I called another doctor.
What did they say?
They said I have positional vertigo. It'll go away.
What is
on its own.
positional vertigo? Is it depending on what the position you're in?
Position of your head when you're laying down in the
morning. So can you put it in the right spot? Can you sleep standing up like a horse, or what can you do?
I'm practicing horse sleeping, but you got to sleep on an angle, upright angle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that the blood's flowing properly. Whatever, man. I flipped out of bed. I got vertigo. I talked to every doctor. It bothers me. You know me for over 20 years. You know I don't like to feel off kilter.
I understand.
You know I'm a hypochondriac.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I've seen too much.
Yeah.
I've been through too much. They've heard on this podcast, even before, back in the day when I had my crazy story go down when I got beat up, Doug Ellin was my first phone call. Right. That's how good of friends we were, and we are, and no matter what. But like when I was in the hospital and I got there, the first text went to Doug, and it was like, they got me.
I thought he was kidding too.
Yeah,
that was crazy. But you got to understand with Mike Young, we played basketball, and I kind of think like he's not that much bigger than me, but Mike Young would like dominate on the boards. And all of a sudden you're like, this guy is so strong and so athletic, and then we'd drive to lunch and he'd get hurt in the car. Like some weird shit would happen that you're like, what happened? And he's like, I don't know. I pulled something. I did this. I did that.
I pulled my neck, turned the radio.
Hey, did you do something like that? You did stand-up last week, and you're like, I turned to the right, and I was turning
No,
for the
I
whole
did
show.
stand-up, and as I'm doing stand-up, I stepped on the cord, and I pulled up, and my left lat got locked in.
This is exactly Mike Young. Nothing has changed.
You know what I mean? I'm tough
years.
as nails, but I'm soft on the inside. I don't know what's going on.
Mike and I used to play in that basketball game. That's where we met. And do you remember the time when
I remember the day we met.
I'd love to hear about that. Yeah.
But what were you?
I was talking about. Remember when they stole my car? You play basketball in a park. You throw your keys on the side. You don't thinking about it. And like these 4 girls not only stole my car, but then they took my phone and then they taunted me. They would call me up with the phone and be like, "We got your car. We got your car." And I'm like, I called the cops. I'm like, they're calling me, and they're like, they're taunting you. I'm like, they're taunting me. They're like, well, we can't really do anything about the extra charge of taunting, but we got my car back. Do you remember that? And it was
remember.
Loaded with pot and. And Jamiroquai CDs, I think. It was very...
They were joyriding. We played in that game.
And that was a Honda Accord they were joyriding in, by the way.
By the way, you inspire. I drove Hondas for the next 12 years straight. It's the best car in the market to this day ever.
You had that joke about the Honda Accord.
Yeah, the personality joke. I got 6 jokes in the Honda Accord. I'm sleeping with everybody. Who needs to spend money?
I like that. It's funny because I'm driving a Chevy Volt, and I just met this. I just met this great, successful woman. And I've never been embarrassed of my car because I feel good. I obviously, if I want, I could buy something else. I want the car. I want the Chevy Volt, and I like it. But we're outside the Palm, and she's getting out, and she's just very classy, and definitely hasn't been in a Volt in some time. So we get outside, and she's like, "All right, I'm going to call an Uber. Where'd you park?" And my car, the valley's already closed, so my car is just sitting there. It's also got like a dent in it that I just never. I'm like, that's my car right there. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, the Volt is mine. Actually, you know what? Cancel your Uber. I'm gonna drive you in the Volt. I'm gonna give you some shock therapy right now and put you in the Volt. So.
Yeah, take her down a couple notches.
She likes the Volt now. I kissed her in the Volt, and I think it was nice. We got a little charge. So,
did you have a little charge in the Volt?
I did have a charge in the Volt. She's a good girl. Good girl.
Yo, it's so funny, Doug. You're new to the game.
Yeah.
I've been in the game a long time. You know that about me. I've kissed many girls in cars.
Yeah.
Within a year, we don't need to talk too much about it, but I've done things in cars that you do usually in a hotel. You know what I mean? But you are so new to and you're newly single.
I'm newly single.
You've watched me go through it for years. You know what I mean? I'm like a war veteran when it comes to that single shit. Yeah. I don't like to see you because you're.
When I go in. I go in. You know what? I'm a commitment guy, and if I like someone, I go all the way. Which is why I was married twice. Which, it's a bad thing. It's a bad institution. It's created to hurt.
Yo, but why, Doug, do you think that you have to go all in right away? Why can't you just keep it on the surface for a minute, enjoy yourself, treat yourself?
I don't like being with women if I'm not emotionally connected to them. It doesn't interest me,
You could still like them and not have to go all in and start an order.
Well, I don't have to marry
a trip
them.
to France.
I don't have to marry them. No, well, that's that's not my issue. The truth is, I've had long-term relationships and they've usually been pretty good. Even my first marriage was 15 years, so you can't really complain about that. And I haven't really misjudged them. And when I meet someone that I like, I would rather not try to top it. So
that's me. You know what? Maybe that is the smart move because I keep it so surface. It's just like, let's see what's going on. Let's just have fun this week. I got an intimacy problem, and you've known me through known me through 2 5-year relationships.
Yeah, but that's why I say you used to be a lot more similar to me. You used to go in deep, and then somehow you turned it off, which I tried, by the way. I actually tried the Mike Young method with this last woman. I was just like, I'm not gonna really talk. I'm not gonna really, I'm gonna be all. You know what I think it is? I had an ex-girlfriend who told me like, women love me because of my personality. They don't see me and say like, let's just go have sex somewhere and never speak again. I don't get that. Like, that's not the thing. They're like, they meet me, they want to chat, they want to cuddle, they want to do all that. So, but I don't know. I feel good. I met someone who's really who's great. So why? What else do you have to do?
You're 100% right. Mm-hmm. I'll meet someone that could be great, and then I'll go meet someone else that could be great at the Comedy Store because
I don't know. Once I meet someone great, I usually hate everybody else. Then I'm like, no, they're awful. So, but I don't know.
I'm gonna try the Doug. This should be our show. I'm gonna try the Doug method.
Yeah.
And you should just give yourself a moment of relaxation and do the Mike method. You know what I mean? Because you've been on the Doug method so long, it's costing you money. Yeah. You're flying all over the place. Yeah. You're jumping into shit quick. Sometimes.
Well, the only thing that's costing me money is the marriage thing. I got to stop that. That's just silly. That's a silly thing. Marriage.
You're in a Volt.
Marriage was created like when the male lifespan was 35, I think. So if you got married at 30 and you was married 2 years, you had a long-term marriage. You were like a real success story. Now it's like 50 years. No, that doesn't work.
You're 100% right. Marriage is an old institution.
Yeah.
I've been an out of the box thinker anyway. Like Doug's telling me about a situation that he has. I'm thinking in my mind, this girl sounds amazing. I'll go have a baby with the girl. Doug, you marry her. We all raise the kid.
She's a great. You know what? She's a great. She would be a great girl for you. She would be a great girl for you.
Well, we'll talk. I just saw the
we'll
picture.
Talk about that
unbelievable.
After. Yeah,
well, you got the single mic persona, so you can give all the lessons now.
Yeah, believe me, Doug's been involved in single mic since I ever said my name was single mic.
For sure.
100%. We had many machinations of the single mic. Yep. Yo, Doug, I remember. So when we played in that game, do you remember? So Mike Weiss played, Andy Weiss played, Rob Weiss would come once in a while and play.
Rob Weiss
played a couple games in our outdoor game. I
picture Rob there like sketching artwork and
He
stuff.
was
Man.
he was coming with full hair gel. He didn't have a ton of coordination as a basketball. Mike Weiss was very strong, but I remember
Andy was strong too.
and he could play for sure. He had good little moves, but I just remember like I was new to the group. I was kind of new to your group, that whole group, the New York, Cliff, the whole group. But I remember I was coming out of from Detroit, whatever, and I kind of had an attitude, a little bit of a street edge maybe back then. But I remember Mike Weiss grabbing a rebound really hard and then spinning around, and then I ripped it from him. And I remember there was like this moment of like a face-off with Mike Weiss.
Right.
And then I just remember you going, dude, yo, you be careful, bro. Young's tough. Like, you know what I mean? And Weiss is tough. And like, I remember just like kind of almost getting into it with Mike, who's, we're friends now.
Well, I mean, we're all the same. We're all,
Competitive.
but we're all Jews from like kind of street neighborhoods where, we had gangsters living next to dentists and things like that, and it's like, we all have that kind of thing. So now I'm a little skinnier, so I just kind of like let my tough friends always handle the business. But
Was Kevin part of those games throwing elbows or what?
No, Connolly was not playing in those.
I didn't even know Ken. I didn't know Kevin back then. I didn't know Kevin till Mike.
Yeah, I introduced you. I introduced
Mike
you to
introduced
Connolly.
me to Kevin. I couldn't get Kevin for the show. Everyone kept telling me there's this guy, Kevin Connolly. He's exactly what you wrote, because I couldn't find anybody to cast for this. And the part was written for a Jack Russell Terrier, a like little guy will fight. And the guy that I found that I liked was Dash Mihawk,
I brought him in.
who's 6'2", whatever, like big guy, and everyone's like, I don't understand. I thought E's supposed to be this little guy. It's weird because, and I love Dash, he's amazing, but like I don't know what Ari would have been making fun of him the whole 8 years about, where Kevin, it was the short jokes, but. And I know Kevin will be pissed if he hears this. I know you're not really short. I know you're taller than everyone in the
Scrappy,
cast.
you can
and
fight.
You're a
You'll
beast,
put
and you're an
somebody in a
animal.
headlock.
And Kevin will, by the way. Kevin will fight anybody, and I've been there. He doesn't care if they're 6'8", 260. But Mike kept telling me Kevin is the guy, and they told me Kevin doesn't act anymore. He was retired. I was like, whatever. But anyway, the second I met Kevin, I'm like, this is the guy. It's not even a question.
Yo, it was so funny because I literally remember I was rolling with Connolly and the whole crew, and you had written the part, and you're like, I got to meet Connolly. And so I went to Connolly. I was like, yo, you just have to meet my friend, Doug Ellin. He's got this part for you. They don't know what it's going to be. They think it's going to be something. It's a great idea for a show. Listen, bro, I don't read, I don't act anymore. I'm going straight into directing. You tell your friend if he wants to meet me, we can maybe have lunch.
We had sushi.
Yeah.
With sushi.
So literally, I'm like, I got to beg Connolly to go meet you, and it was a no-brainer after you met Connolly.
Yeah.
He was the
the guy. He was the guy from second one. So
the whole by the way, hold on one sec, Dave. I always say this. Do you remember, and this is a true moment because no one believes me, but there was a moment where I read for Vince.
Of course.
And I sat
You
in
read
front
for
of
Eric. You read for E also.
I read for both of them.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget sitting in a room with you and the guy Steven, I forgot his Tompkins or something like that. Me. It was the three of us in a room along with Larry Charles, and we're in a room, and Doug just goes, "Let Mike read for it." And I, at the time, was like under this deal, doing a thing with Toby and whatever. And I just like picked up the script, and I like had already read it 1,000 times because we were rolling every day. And I read the part of Vince, and I swear to God, the guy Steven and Doug both go, I'll just give it to Mike. Like that. Just let Mike play. And I swear to God also, Larry Charles walks out of the room and he goes, I'm good with that. And it was like, you don't know at the moment what that's going to be. So
I don't even remember that. I remember. I want you to read for E, and you're like, I got to talk to my agent. That's what I remember. You got to talk to your agent. I'm like, didn't I get you your agent? Isn't he my agent?
He was your agent.
Yeah, my agent, which is so crazy. Mine and Mike's agent that's who, I wrote the character based on him for Jeremy Piven because I hadn't met Ari yet, but it was for Jeremy playing Jeff Jacobs. And then I met Ari, and I was like, holy shit, this is the real character. And Jeremy was amazingly able to play both, if he had to. So
after that moment, so when you're in that moment, you don't know what it is, what it's going to be. So I'm like, I have to call my agent because I think this is like a business thing. So I call my agent. I call Jeff Jacobs. And I'm like, man, there's the Entourage that Doug is doing. They said I could play like this part of Vince. What do you think? He's like, absolutely not. He goes, absolutely not. You're in a deal with Tobey Maguire right now, in a development deal at ABC. You're not allowed to do anything. So just tell Doug no thank you or whatever. So
That show's never going anywhere anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry. There's a show. Yeah, Entourage isn't going to do anything. Literally, I said no to the part of Vince on Entourage. You know what I mean? I'd be living in a mansion right now. You know what I mean? Having the exact same problems as Doug.
Or you'd be me. You'd be divorced, and your ex-wife would be living in a mansion right now. So,
right. I'd be right back.
Like,
I'd be in a Chevy Volt having sex
exactly.
on the hill.
No sex. I didn't.
How many people did you have to go through when you were casting for the show? Like, obviously you said you wrote for Jeremy. You knew about Kevin.
I wrote the part for Jeremy. The rest of them was impossible. I mean, we saw hundreds and hundreds of people. The truth is, Steve Levinson found Jerry and found Adrian and thought they were right for it, but Jerry was 15 years younger than Kevin Dillon, and they were supposed to go to high school together. So it didn't make any sense. It's weird. No one's ever brought it up ever, but it didn't make any sense. And we were looking for a Wahlberg type. We were trying to cast, and Adrian is not a Mark type, which so we were looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, but we finally came to them. But I mean, some of the quick things were, obviously I wrote it for Jeremy. We had to convince him to do it. Dylan walked in, and it was like, so weird, because I was with Kevin Dillon's ex-girlfriend the night before his audition, and she's like, my ex-boyfriend's coming in to audition for you. I'm like, Matt Dillon's brother, blah, 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 blah. Kevin walked in, he said one line, and I was like, this guy's gonna win Emmys for this. I knew it. He was the funniest person I've ever seen in my entire life, like legitimately. But we cast for 6 months, and it was really, really hard. And since it was my only show, I had no power, so it was like I didn't even have control except for to say, this is who I want. So they kept bringing new people in and this, and we were looking at black actors, Asian actors, because people telling me at that time it was just starting to be the diversity thing. And again, it's not what it was about. The show was kind of a look at sort of how I grew up, a little bit about Mark, and I said, listen, that it wasn't that diverse then. It wasn't in Queens. That's not how it was. So while I would like to make this show as diverse as possible, it's not really realistic to make it the kind of thing that we want. So, but we saw everybody in this town, and it's amazing. It's amazing to think about some of the actors that auditioned for any parts that have become big, big stars now, but they still weren't right for those particular parts.
Was there any close calls that you almost casted, and then you just went with the other guy, with the ones that everybody else knows now?
Well, I wanted to cast Dominic Lombardozzi at first for Turtle. I mean, and again, it was and Dom, who I wrote a part for after, who was on the show, who's like one of my favorite humans and actors in the world. But the original script I wrote, which definitely was wrong, was a much tougher group of guys. It was more of like what we're talking about, these street guys who fight and do this, and it was
scrappy.
It was almost like Sopranos in Hollywood, and HBO was like, what the fuck is this? And the truth is they were right. So we needed a little younger, softer, cuter, whatever. And Dom, which is amazing, because Dom is like one of the most lovable, likable guys. But even when he came on as that Dom character, which I thought was the funniest thing in the world, and people loved the episode, but they were scared shitless of him. They were like, who is this killer that's coming on the show? Like, and Jerry just is like, you want to give Jerry a hug and take care of him, so.
I've held pads for Dom. He's a heavyweight beast.
He's a beast. And, and Dom has worked nonstop since, because he's so good and he's so real. But it's amazing, because even if you remember the episode with Dom where I wrote this character for him.
Yeah, he gets out of jail.
My mother called me up, and she's like, I don't get this. What is this? And this was really based on friends of mine coming, like, who would come to town. Yeah. And I was like, Ma, you don't know what you're talking about. And then there was this backlash, which was when I really realized people loved the show, because Dom was so mean to the guys, and they didn't take it as funny. They took it as like, who the fuck is this guy? And his name was Dom. I named the character Dom. So all of a sudden, Dom's got to walk around New York City, and people are like, fuck you, Dom. We hate you. Leave drama alone. Don't take his cooking away from him. It's all he's got, But it was great. But Dom was the guy that I absolutely wanted, and then when we met Jerry, it was just a different, younger thing. And then putting Dylan and Jerry together was always a concern. You know, when Jerry came in for the testing, I was like, we got to age you up somehow because Jerry looked like he was 15.
Totally.
You know. But it worked, so it all turned out.
Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I remember when I knew like things were starting to happen crazy for everybody. Well, first of all, Doug gave me an office there, took me on all the trips. I was on private planes going to Vegas for golf episodes. You know what I mean? Like it was a blast. But I remember we were at like a basketball game or something. Me and Jerry had to go to the bathroom. We went to the bathroom and Jerry's like going to the bathroom and I'm 4 stalls down and I just hear like 2 dudes roll in and they're like, turtle, turtle. And it was like it was like just gearing up.
Yeah, well, Vegas was really where I didn't even know if anybody watched the show. And the truth is the ratings came out when we were in Vegas. They came out for whatever the first episode was. The ratings were not good. This is right when TiVo starts. And I don't think people realize all of a sudden people are watching TV very differently. And they're not doing Live +7. They're not doing this. They're just going, Sex and the City had this many people and Entourage has this. And I'm sitting in a Vegas hotel room and I'm like, I'm legitimately ready to jump out the window. I'm like, this show's over. This is season 2. Done. And we're filming at the Hard Rock at the pool.
Yep.
Now, this is a show about a movie star named Vincent Chase, but we walk out to the pool and 250 meatheads start screaming, turtle, turtle. And I'm like, first of all, we can't have in the background them yelling turtle because he's not famous. Vince is the famous one. But I'm like, holy shit, something's going on here. And I spoke to Chris, the president of HBO that day, who I honestly thought was going to cancel the show because the first week ratings came out. And he's like, are you kidding? We are all good. Don't worry about the ratings. So anyway. What
I was so impressed with you at the time was, Doug, I remember you fighting for like certain things, right? Like HBO would call you and you'd be on the speakerphone in the office and they would be like, what about this and this? And you need to do this. And I remember Doug would just stick to your guns. And like, I remember thinking like, you're kind of new to be kind of be like yelling at like an executive and then hanging up.
Yeah.
Like I remember you would have some creative battles and hold your own. You know, you fought.
I fought the fights, and now I'm exhausted from it. So now I just play pickleball and relax.
I still can't believe I'm not Vincent Chase. Where am I?
You're here. Yeah. I don't get what's going on here. Is this your place? Like, what is this?
No. This is All Things Comedy Network. This is a network. They do podcasts. Bill
so you
Burr.
Can come out and take out the space and do it.
Exactly. So my podcast is on the All Things Comedy Network. So Bill Burr and Al Madrigal and a couple other guys, they own this thing called All Things Comedy.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's high tech. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a little cool comedy movement.
It's very cool.
But when I met Doug, he was doing stand-up comedy. Doug was doing comedy, and I saw he had a VHS tape that I watched.
Yeah, VHS.
And he was fun, and you were funny.
I love how he says that. I love how he says, you were kind of funny. You're all right. I was kind of funny. I had a great jump shot, and I was very fucking funny. Comedy, I was actually, to be totally honest, that was my natural calling in life. That's what I should have done, but I was so nervous, and I never broke through to that place where you don't give a shit what's happening with the audience. I fed off the audience. When they started laughing, I was like golden. If I got like a little crickets, I don't know. Did I ever tell you that when I went to New York? Like, I actually felt I never bombed, ever. Never bombed. And I go to New York and I take out, I think Caroline's or something. Like, I'm gonna fill your place.
Yeah.
And I'm like feeling confident. And I'm like, I'm pretty popular in Long Island. I get 500, 600 people to come to this thing on like a Wednesday night. It's basically an amateur night, and it's like Doug Ellin on the marquee. I'm 22 years old. There's all these real comedians. Every single comedian would come up and go, who the fuck is this Doug Ellin? Why is this place filled? Why is what's happening here? I got my parents there. I've got their friends there, and I have no nerves, but I did the cardinal sin. I came out with a new joke. So everyone was waiting for like an hour for me to come out and whatever. And I swear to you, I mean this sincerely. I never really bombed. I come out, I give this new joke. It is fucking silence. Like, I see my mom, I see all her, like, I put him through college. I did this, I did that. And I go, I swear to God, I go, thank you for coming, good night. And I walk off the stage. I swear to God, I said one joke. Nobody laughed. I walked off the stage. They all came in from Long Island. They're all in the city. There was like the murmur and the crowd. And then the next comedian comes out and just abuses me for 40 minutes. My freaking father's best friend called me up the next day telling me I'm killing my mother, like, and I have to stop this, go to law school. Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm pretty good at this thing. I do this, but
Was that your last time, or did you give it a couple more shots?
no, I did it after that for a while, you know, and then I used it to raise money for my first short film. I was working at New Line Cinema, and I actually got fired from New Line Cinema. That's a whole different story. But I was still friends with some people there, so I sent out pamphlets to come to raise money for this short film I was doing, and Mike DeLuca, who was VP of New Line at the time, gave me a check for $10,000 to do this short film I did. So.
Yo, stand-up comedy, when you get crickets on a joke, just to let you know, it never gets easy. Like, I'm 20 years into stand-up. It doesn't get easy. What I think you didn't love, because it's just not your thing, is the life.
I didn't like the life.
That's not your life.
You know,
You're
no.
a good, you like, you
And I don't like comedians, by the way. I hate comedians, you know? Like, they're always on. I'm not always on. I'm like, they're always
Never,
on. They're
right.
always doing bits. And I was drinking also, you know, Mark Lano, who I think, you know, he thought I was going to be very good at this, but he would tell me you can't drink, because I was drinking every time I would go up there because I was so freaking nervous.
I can see that. 'Cause
yeah.
I would be the same way.
yeah, it's a panic.
I mean, you said you went up there and you performed in front of 4 people, and like.
I've done everything in comedy at this point. I've been in front of 4 people, 4,000 people.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to break through to that place where you do your act. I mean, there was some, I don't know if it was Seinfeld or Billy Crystal, I remember there's some documentary, and they were showing him doing the same exact jokes with the same exact delivery in 2 different crowds, and one crowd going nuts and one crowd just dead. So you never know what it's going to be.
No,
you know,
stand-up I think it's the craziest of all the art forms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're up there, microphone, there is no music to fall back on. You can't miss a lyric.
You got the lights
You know what I
beaming
mean?
on you.
yeah.
It's next level craziness.
Yeah, but it is the high. It also is, you know,
It's the greatest
You
high.
know, for me, like the you know, you sit there for 2 hours like a moron, which is miserable. Then you get up there and you get this 5 to 25, whatever it is, minute high, and then you get off the stage and you're just like, what is my life now? Like,
It
you
is,
know,
man.
it's a weird thing, you know.
Do you think there's anything to, like, I remember right when you heard that you got Entourage, you and I were in your Honda Accord, and you were talking about going back. You were talking about giving up. I swear to God. You were talking about going to work for your brother with, like, a new company thing in New York.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and bam, you
Yeah.
get Entourage.
Yeah.
And, like, I wonder if there's some weird cosmic universal thing that happens when you're about to end it. Because I literally, you know,
There's
no
not.
one, I don't know. Because before, you know, Doug is the reason that I got My Man Is a Loser. You know that. I mean, you know that. So there was a moment where there was like 11,000 maybe left to my life,
Yeah.
and I was like, my brother's doing great. He's
Yeah.
killing it. My cousin owns $1 billion construction situation. Maybe I just did my thing and I transition out of here, and I get out of here. And it was like 2 days later, I get a call from Doug, and he goes, listen, I don't have time for this, but these guys call me from New York, from Long Island. They're really wealthy guys. They want someone to write a movie for them. Will you just have lunch with the guy? And next thing I know, I'm at Factor's Deli, I swear to God, with David Golden, this wealthy New York businessman, and he's got a partner in New York, and he's just sitting in front of me in a pink shirt, and he's like, and he's a hyper fan of Entourage, and he's like, listen, I don't know, we want to make a movie. What do you think? Here's the idea. He has really no idea at the time,
Right.
but he goes, listen, I could tell a stripper anything, but I can't tell my wife anything. You think we got something? I said. So he starts complaining about his wife and their relationships and all this shit. And I just relaxed, and I said, and I could tell these guys were loaded because you told me, and I just believe it anyway. And so I was like, yo, bro, I'm gonna get back with you in like a week. Let me think about your idea. Yeah. And that's when I literally came back with because I put myself in the mix, and I was like, how about your single friend helps the 2 married guys get through, you know, get better at marriage.
Right.
And Doug fucking put me together with these guys, and from day one, money was being wired into my account at a hyper rate.
I mean, if you understand that independent filmmaking, like, you can go make a movie like I did, by the way. I did a movie called Fat Beach that is played.
I was there. I was an extra.
Played for 18 years. It's made somebody a lot of money. I was paid $7,500. Okay, $7,500. So I'm like, Mike, these guys will probably give you 10 grand, whatever. Da 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 da. All of a sudden, they're giving Mike. He's calling me every day. He's like, I asked for per diem. They're handing me cash. Like this, that, the other thing. I'm like,
I mean, it was like 3,000 every Monday was getting wired in, and it didn't stop. On top of a writer's fee that they. By the way, I used Doug because I felt like if they embarrassed Doug, like they didn't want to embarrass themselves in front of Doug. So I just kept dropping Doug's name.
That's
So
awesome.
like they offered me my first deal for the writing, and I was like, listen, guys, I'm in the Writers Guild. Doug's
I'm in the Writers
I'm like,
Guild.
listen, Doug's in the Writers Guild too. The way we do things
I would
is.
say this guild, they're fucking gangsters, all right? So
Okay, you know what I mean? You don't want to offend the guild, so you're going to have to pay me a certain amount. So then their first offer was like the minimum guild.
Yeah.
I said, I got to be honest, guys, and you could ask Doug if you want. But, you offered me the minimum, and I think we're getting along great, and I super appreciate the opportunity, but you should come up on the offer. And they literally went from like the $42,000 like minimum to like $75,000.
That's amazing.
And Doug came to me one day. He's like, I know I just made you $300,000. What the fuck? What's going? And I don't know how much it was or what it was.
Right.
But after you introduced me to those guys, I fell into this independent world of people that have money that need to tell their story
Right.
and don't know how to do it.
That's great.
And so I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You know
You're
what I mean?
welcome. I'm glad you delivered. They were happy. You were happy. It was great.
Everybody's been happy so
Yeah.
far. You know what I mean?
So-
No one's making money except for me. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the writer
Right.
and the director.
But they get to go to premieres. They get to walk around and tell people they're producers. They love that. So
And it's funny because you can't believe that there's people willing to pay for that.
Yeah.
But there is a huge,
a huge market for that.
giant
Yeah.
market for rich people that can't buy access. And by the way, that was like a theme of Entourage. Like you couldn't, of just the making and the whole thing of it. Like you can't buy cool.
Yeah. No.
Because
can't.
you've had every big money person who loved the show coming at you, wanted to be, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they just wanted to be close
Yeah.
to the flame.
Yeah.
So was that show based on like your life, or where'd you get the idea? Or the
It
concept
started
for
with Mark Wahlberg. Steve Levinson and Mark brought it to me, and I said, I mean, obviously I'm not a movie star, so I said I got to make it kind of how I know it. So we kind of I took elements of Mark's friends, but it was really stories that happened to me that I would interpret how they happened to Mark and then kind of put them in. But so it's a mishmash of stuff, but I made it in New York because I don't know Boston, and I just took so many of elements of the relationships that I grew up in and things like that. So
I remember Doug always had like a friend. Doug always had like a legend friend that he grew up with. I remember every time I would like, because I taught Doug, I got him in shape I taught you boxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You and your wife at the time. I was training boxing. I had no job. I was just doing stand up. But by the way, boxing was $60 an hour, cash. It was great. But every time Doug would be like, I had this guy growing up, Hunter, and he was the
edit.
No, but Doug always had like 7 different people.
Well, I had
that
crazy
he grew
guys.
Up with.
I mean, I grew up. My next door neighbor. I've always wanted to do this in a show. Who's his father, was in jail for 150 years. He was doing John Gotti's something or other, whatever. But the son moved into my town. Like when he moved in 11th grade. He started dating this girl Jennifer Dorfman, and he started beating up every guy that dated her from kindergarten on. And I'm not talking like smacking around. Like this guy's in the hospital. This guy's in the hospital. So we grew up with nuts. I mean, he's unfortunately not with us anymore.
Right.
Or some people would say fortunately, but whatever. But, my friend Chris, who, I see at the 25-year reunion with Kenny Dichter, we see him. I'm like, Chris, you're not going to cause any problems tonight. He's like, I've changed. He's arrested 4 months later for 5 murders. He's doing life in prison right now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We could show that picture of me, Kenny, and him at the reunion, thinking like, "Hey, Chris really got it together."
I think you showed me that.
But I mean, we grew up. I grew up with legitimate, where Goodfellas took place. It's like it was just a crazy town and a crazy life, and
What was the town? What town was
Merrick, Long Island.
it? Merrick.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that because I worked for the Islanders for 2 years, so I know all that area.
Nice. I was a big Islander fan, diehard Islander fan.
Connolly.
That's actually where I met him. He was filming his 30 for 30 on the
Yeah.
Islanders when I was working there.
Yeah, which is such an awesome doc and such an amazing story. Like everyone should watch that talk about like someone buying access to a life. I mean, this guy bought the New York Islanders and he didn't have any money, but he took possession of the team by wiring fake stock. I mean, it's crazy.
That was an amazing story. The team was like $35 million, and they checked his account. He had like $38.
No,
in his
he
account.
legitimately sent whatever he was supposed to send, whether it was $30 million, he sent $30,000 and then said, oh, it was the bank error. But then he took possession of the team, started ordering people around at the college. It's sick.
No, that was great. And then you produced.
I
produced,
did a 30 for 30,
yeah,
on the Knicks.
when the Garden
When
was
the
eaten.
Garden was eaten, yeah.
So we were shooting My Man is a Loser when
Yeah.
you guys were doing that. So Rappaport was going in and like doing the editing.
Yep.
That was a cool moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I realized everybody's got like a second job. Like I'm shooting this movie. It's like my life is on the line. These guys are paying me money. I'm like nervous as can be. I never directed anything. I didn't even go to film school.
Right.
I'm like, can you zoom in? They're like, these cameras don't zoom. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, what? I'm like, Rappaport, you should be, are you studying? What are you doing? He's like, I got to go. Like he's thinking about going to edit the Garden of Eden that night. Stamos is preparing like for a Broadway play during my movie. Gigs. Everyone had a side gig, but it was a crazy moment. Yeah. And you still keeping in touch with everybody from the show, pretty much, or not everybody?
The ones I liked, yeah. There were a couple I didn't.
By the way, I told you, Piven pops up now doing comedy.
Yeah, how's that?
It's not. I mean, listen, I'll be real, man. I feel like I knew Piven. Like I was around you every day.
Yeah,
I knew him.
Yeah.
Like he would say, "What up?"
Right.
He actually doesn't know me. Like he looks me dead in the face, like doesn't know me. So I can't even, old Mike would be like, "What's up with this guy?" But I'm just like, everyone's got their own problems.
Yeah.
If you don't remember what I look like, I didn't lose that much weight.
He knows exactly who you are. But I'd like to see his stand up. I'd be very curious to see that. But,
you'll have the
But I told Connolly yesterday because I was on the phone with Kevin yesterday. Kevin's one of the funnier people I know. In my opinion, I told him he should do stand up because I think Kevin is just a great storyteller and
one of the best.
Yeah.
I think Connolly. By the way, so I wrote this movie. I'll tell you about it. I mean, in depth later. But like, I wrote this thing called "I Killed." It's kind of the impetus was, the situation that happened back in the day.
Yeah.
But it's really a comedian, not karaoke.
Oh, you told me about that. I know about this.
Did I?
Yeah.
So last week, like I get a call from like Mike Epps' guy. I've never met Mike Epps, but he called me. He's like, Mike Epps wants to do this. He wants to meet you. And I didn't write it I didn't write it race specific, but I guess if Epps could get the movie made, then you switch it around, you urban it up, whatever. Because a black gangster is going to react differently than a white boy comedian if that situation goes down.
Right.
Long story short, he like canceled like 4 meetings on me.
Right.
I was like running all over. He's like 11 o'clock. I'm like, I'll be there. He's like 1 o'clock. I'll be there. 3 o'clock. I got run around for like 2 days. I called his guy. I was like, listen, bro, cut it off. This is just going to be a thing. And me and Connolly were hanging out. I'm like, yo, you should fucking play a comedian.
Right.
Connolly would be an amazing comedian.
Yeah, totally.
There is you get like 1.5 drinks in him, and there's no better storyteller ever. None. Does he repeat a couple stories? Absolutely. Have I, you know what I mean? Have I heard about
he's got his go-tos, but no, Kevin's funny.
I wish I had the grit. Like after, he gets hurt when he broke his leg on the beach.
Yeah.
He toughed that shit out.
Yeah, he's tougher than you.
Way tougher than me. Yeah. I'll whoop his ass in the ring. You know what I mean? But if both of us had like a broken finger, he doesn't bring it up, and I'm at 9 doctors.
He did that movie for like 9 days with a serious unchecked fracture, 2 fractures, I think, maybe even 3. I mean, it was a big deal.
That was I brought my brother to the set.
Yep.
Entourage movie. We had a blast. That's where I met Gronkowski.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up producing like the Showtime thing for Gronkowski.
No idea.
I don't tell anyone anything. Well, I haven't talked to you about anything like that. But
I tried telling everybody you did it.
Thanks.
I don't even know what the Gronkowski thing is. How do I see it?
I produced a Showtime special called Unsportsmanlike Comedy.
Right.
So Gronk was the host.
Really?
Gronk came out with a bunch of cheerleaders. He hosted the show.
Oh, I got to see it. How was it?
It's fun. It was fun.
And I love Gronkowski. Yeah. You want to talk about like the nicest guy and
freak of nature.
He came onto the set and I was like, I wanted to do something funny with him because he was known for a minute like he was injured and he was dancing at clubs, like whatever. So I wanted to put him in like almost like a full body cast and get him to dance. I'm scared. The guy is giant. But I walked up to him and I'm like, my friend who brought him said he'll do whatever you want. And I said, Rob, I don't want to make you do something uncomfortable. He goes, Doug, I told my friends in high school that I was going to be on Entourage. And they told me I was fucking crazy.
That is awesome.
And then 10, 12, whatever amount of years later, he did the movie.
That is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I love that.
What people don't know about him is actually he's not spent a dime of his salary. He only uses his sponsorship money. So he saved every penny he's ever earned from his NFL paycheck.
And no divorce. So smart.
By the way, so I met him the first time through you, and then somehow I get a call from one of the other producers from Showtime. They're like, we need someone that can get along with like athletes and write comedy. I'm like, let me talk to him. I talked to Gronk. I re-talked to him, reminded him that we met, and they fly me out to Boston, and I go to Gronk's house. I wrote it. I had to write his whole monologue.
Right.
So, comedy is hard. It's not anyone can just read a monologue and be funny.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like taking it light, you know. He's like, can I change this to this? And you know, he's kind of he's like that jock. He is like a legit high school jock. Yeah. So I pull up at his house. Fucking Gronkowski is reverse dunking basketball. There's no thought that he could possibly get hurt like in a driveway game.
Right.
Him and his boys are like, they're playing basketball. They're throwing the baseball. They're like doing every sport like they're in middle school.
Right.
And there's some brilliance to this guy because he literally took this monologue, and I'm like, when I first met him, and he made it great.
I love the guy.
He came out.
He's got great energy. And you know, it's like a lot of these stars who would come on the show or the movie, like they were in a hurry to get out of there. I'm like, you know, things were moving slow that day. He's like, don't worry about it. He's like serving extra soup and stuff. And he was awesome. Awesome.
And he's next level genetics.
Yeah, no, that's a whole different thing. And that's why, you know, no one understands why I'm a diehard Giant fan, but why I root for the Patriots when the Giants are not winning. Because Brady, Gronk, Edelman, these guys are just, they were great guys, and they were, you know, big fans of the show. And
isn't Gronkowski's entire family like 6'5"?
Gronk's whole family came to the set.
Yeah.
Literally every brother. I think there's 3 other brothers. Right. They're all 6'4" and over, and they're jacked.
Right.
Here comes the dad driving up in like an old Mustang. He gets out. He's 6'5". You know what I mean? Hair gelled back. He's like the guy. Remember the movie The Wanderers?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, the old man that rips off the bench and will fucking smash it over somebody. Gronk's dad is that guy. He'll beat everyone's ass at 67 years old, whatever. He's still in great shape. And I look over at the after party. So the show, you know, Gronk hosts the show. 4 other comedians do their thing. Fun party. And it's, you know, Boston. So they went crazy for Gronk. And at the after party, I look over. One of Gronk's brothers is doing push-ups on the bar. Like he's on the bar. And I'm like, you know what? These guys are the real.
They're the real deal. And they're happy guys. So
God love them. Gronkowski. We didn't get that. Inside, I thought I was going to be something athletic. I mean, there was like a 3-year moment with like boxing. Yeah. I was like really feeling strong, and it just went away.
6th grade. It's funny because I just put this on Instagram today. I had to chop a little piece of it out where I said to you, because it said Jeff Ross roasted me, and you guys like all gave him shit. So he's like, you peaked in athletics in middle school. And I was like, who gave you that? Mike Young, you know? But, yeah, 6th grade, I really thought I was a great athlete. It was like by 9th, I was like the smallest guy all of a sudden, you know. But
no, I remember, you are a good athlete.
I'm a good, slow, white Jewish athlete.
Great hand-eye coordination.
You see this pickleball game I'm playing. You got to come play.
Everyone talks about pickleball. They're playing it at Leo's house now.
It's like mini tennis. Oh, are they playing over there?
Yeah, they're playing like 4 days a week.
Because I've heard Leo is like, talk some shit about me wanting to play for money, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't want any part of that. But
listen, I could say this about Doug. When Doug decided, before you ever took your ping pong lessons, we were at the exact same level of ping pong. I mean, same level. Yeah. I might have maybe even beat you. I might have been better. I don't know.
Probably not.
But Doug locks in and starts taking ping pong lessons from the hottest ping pong champion of all time, who I tried to hit on 7 times. I had her on my couch. Nothing ever happened. You know what I mean? I don't even know if you know that. You know
of course I know that.
You know, the legs. Su Yun.
I love Su Yun.
Su Yun. She was a legit ping pong champion. Doug takes ping pong lessons for like a month, 2 months. He gets obsessed. Next thing you know, you're like a fucking professional ping pong player.
No. I'm playing this pickleball, which is like mini tennis with some of the best tennis players in the world. I mean, in doubles, singles, I couldn't keep up with anyone. I can play with anyone on the planet in this game now.
So what happened at an older age? Like your wrist got faster and stronger?
No, I was always a good racket sport person, but tennis you need a little more foot speed to be actually really good. And again, I was a good, slow Jewish tennis player, but this is a whole other level.
Is there footwork involved in this?
Yeah, of course.
I've never heard about it until just now.
It's the fastest growing sport in the country. It's a terrible name when someone's got to rebrand it, but it's ping pong meets tennis. It's half the size of a tennis court. It's a great game.
Just can you hit the ball if it bounces once?
Yeah.
So it is literally
it's like tennis. Yeah. I mean, I'll show you some insane videos.
Nobody knows. I grew up in racquetball. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah.
My cousin was 8-time world champion.
I played some racket sport. We played tennis once upon a time. You should come out, but
I got to get rid of the vertigo. Once this is all out of my head, which should be soon.
It's in your head. It's all in your head. There's nothing
weird. I feel fine right now.
Yeah, you are fine.
I better be fine. Yo, we played. Well, first of all, remember what was the game Schwimmer had us playing? Volleyball in a racquetball court. What was it? Remember that game?
I do remember that. Wasn't it just volleyball? Yeah. No.
By the way, I
That
gotta
was
say, Doug has always had an amazing eye for talent. You found, you didn't find, not you found Schwimmer like he was like he wasn't just like a human that had to be found.
Yeah.
But you saw something in Schwimmer, and you're like, this guy's gonna be something. Bam, Friends.
Schwimmer was in my first short film. I thought he was going to be the biggest comedy star in the world 5 minutes after I met him. I mean, legitimately.
and he kind of was.
Yeah. Yeah. He got Friends 2-3 years later, I guess. But
Schwimmer's a great dude.
Yeah.
I saw him in New York on my last trip. He
Yeah.
happened to be there at
Right.
that time.
yeah, well, he lives there.
Yeah, he's just sitting on 52 million. What's he doing? He doesn't need to do it. Is he still doing
He's
it?
probably got more than that.
Probably.
I'm assuming, but I don't know. I
don't
never counted it, but he's doing all right.
I don't count anyone's money.
Yeah, he should.
You just keep introducing me to people.
Yeah.
By the way, after you know how a stand-up guy happened was because after the guys you introduced me to, after Lionsgate got the movie, after the premiere of My Man Is a Loser, Danny A was there with some like Israeli investor guy. And he goes, Mike, we love the film. There's so many funny jokes. You gotta meet Ron. He runs an Israeli film fund.
Right.
I'm like, is there such a thing as an Israeli? Next thing I know, he goes, we're gonna call you. They call me. They're like, we want to do a comedy. I'm like, all right, here, call my lawyer. They said yes too.
It's all right.
That's my niche
it
right
works
now.
for you. That's great. It's a good niche.
You know.
If you can get on sets all the time, it's a great niche.
The other thing that we are going to talk to you about is and Connolly's. I don't know if he even mentioned it to you, but like one of those guys last week.
Yeah, Kevin told me.
Has offered to put up some dough.
Yeah.
And
That'd be
I
great.
want you to be part of it, involved.
I want to act.
I'll put you in it.
All right, good. That's what I want to do. I want that easy job where I just I have to complain about what other people have spent hours working on. That's what I want to do.
I mean, the actor has the one job, but I mean, listen, after doing the movie, and you knew this for years, but you got to respect the great.
Well, you have to cast the right person. It's everything. I mean,
It's
you could write
everything.
the best line in the world is destroyed by the wrong actor, and you could write something. Like I said, Dylan. I mean, every word that I wrote, Dylan would make funnier. It's like I always sat in my room. I'm like, this is genius, and then Dylan would take it to a whole other freaking level. So.
His ridiculous. I mean, listen, he was a specific character.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean?
he was great.
All about the delivery.
Yeah, but he's very underestimated in the choices that he was making. I mean, he's amazing.
How's he doing? Have you talked to him lately?
Yeah, I always talk to him. He's good. He's
Yeah.
good.
I love
just did a
Kevin
movie.
Dillon.
He's good. We went to Italy. Actually, no, that was a while ago already. Though I had I had a non-wedding in Italy. I was supposed to get married.
I was
in Italy.
invited to the non-wedding.
Yeah, it was actually a great week. But I was supposed to get married, and then I didn't get married. But we still had the party, and then I married somebody else somehow.
Yeah.
In
Yo,
between.
Doug calls me, and this is I just knew. Like Doug calls me the first time, and he's like, "I'm not getting married, but we're still having the party, and you can go to Italy." I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
And Doug's like, "You could still go to Italy because there's people are gonna go, and I got you like a villa. Like I got my own villa. By the way, I've had so many condos, villas. Like I've had like condominiums at in Park City. Like Doug took for the Entourage episode at Sundance. You left. I had a 3-bedroom suite to myself. I wasn't on the show. I wasn't doing anything. I had a 3-bedroom suite for the entire weekend of Sundance.
That's
You're
so
like, I think
crazy.
HBO's just paying for this. Just stay. I think it's this one with the jacuzzi in the living room.
It's
I
awesome.
live like a king.
Well, I had 150 people coming to a wedding in Italy, and I called it off like 4 weeks before. But then we still had the party, and 80 people still showed up. So
Did
and
you
we had
have-
an amazing week.
Did you have a great week?
I had really one of the best weeks ever. Yeah.
What's wrong with me that I wouldn't have gone? Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, Doug's gonna be all stressed out.
I know,
He
like,
may
'cause
go.
you
He
like
might not.
weddings so much. I don't know.
No, but I mean, in my mind, I was like, I couldn't believe it. You're like, you got a villa. You should still come to Italy.
Oh yeah, and it was my friend's villa that he gave me. It was the most incredible place. 12 bedrooms right on the Amalfi Coast with a staff of 7. And that was one of the,
Wow.
that was a great week. That was a great week.
Did Connolly go to that? To the non-wedding? No.
No.
I got to tell you, man, I was prepping for. I still feel terrible about this guy. I really do, because when Jerry got married, I was like trying to put together like my 1-hour special.
Yeah.
And so I was on the road with Saget.
Yeah.
And it was like, looking back, I'm like, why did I go do my comedy instead of going to that? I feel guilty about not going to
Yeah,
Jerry's
you know
wedding.
what? You got to put work first, but it was a great wedding though.
I heard it was a
fun.
blast.
Yeah, we had a great time.
I saw Emmanuel last night.
Where?
I saw her at Danny A's birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Danny A's birthday party.
Right.
Danny A, by the way, who
His
financed
debut.
Doug gave Danny A his debut on Entourage.
Pilot.
Danny A in the pilot episode played a doorman. And if you go
Was
back,
it paparazzi? I think.
I think he was shutting down the paparazzi.
Really? Maybe.
He was the doorman. And yeah, I remember that. I remember that day. But Danny A, ironically, is the one that financed and starred in a stand-up guy.
He's funny.
He is a character,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
There's
he's-
nobody.
he is funny as
Mike,
shit.
do me a favor. I got this guy from Israel. He's gonna put some money up. Trust me. All right. We're gonna pay you this. Half's gonna be in cash. Don't ask a lot of questions. All right. Just write it funny. Oh my God. Whatever you say, Danny. You know, it's like the more you're in this business, the more you realize there's characters coming from every angle.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
You've seen it all.
So
How we
what
doing,
else?
Tom? What else? I've been on the single
Oh.
Mike train. I was dating someone for like 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was
a long
going
time for
great.
you.
But it is a long time, which is weird because when we first met, I was with Rebecca for
Yep.
5 years.
Yep.
You love Rebecca.
Yep.
Even though, you know, we had
Yeah,
one.
we had one battle. I love Rebecca.
But that's what's great about Doug, man. He don't give a fuck. He'll battle my girlfriend. You know what I mean? My girl of 5 years who I was engaged to, Doug will have no problem.
No problem.
No problem with an argument with her. And she had no problem going at you
Not
either.
at all. No.
Yeah, by the way,
How's she doing?
you had one of the best jokes.
which
Oh
one?
no, was it you or Zach? About
I'm
the-
sure it wasn't
about the
fucking
s-
Zach who had
no,
the
but
best
about
joke.
About my girl's family.
Yeah,
I went to
Adidas sweatsuit. It was Zach.
Yeah.
It was Zach.
That was fun. I dated, my girl was a black girl from Cleveland, singer songwriter,
Yeah.
and
I put her song in my movie.
put the song in the movie. And Doug wanted to shoot a video for the song. It was called Be Your Own.
By the way, if you don't see any similarities why Mike and her should have been married, her career was looking like it was about to break, but it wasn't yet. And we're doing a movie that Universal bought, and I'm like, I want you to do a video, and she wouldn't do it. Her
wouldn't do
people
it.
wouldn't let her do it. They're like, you can't do it. So Harry Connick did it. I mean, I get Harry Connick writes an original song and does a video when he was huge.
Yeah.
But Rebecca wouldn't do it. And I think that song, I still believe that song would have blown up if they promoted it properly.
Just
Wow.
be your own.
It was
It's
amazing.
an amazing song.
I'm going to listen to that song in the car on the way home.
I forgot about that song.
You know, it's funny how so similar Mike are. This is the corniest story about Mike Young and me ever, but there was a time when like fucking Adele song, Someone Like You comes on, and then fucking I'm in my car, you hear this song, and then I don't even know if iTunes exists or how I get it, but I'm like, fuck. And this is like Mike and I were like these two like half Jewish, think we're fucking tough guys who like sensitive shit. And I am like, I hear this song and I seriously drive around the block. I must have listened to it 15 times in a row. And then like Mike calls me, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm embarrassed to say I'm listening to this Adele song. He's like, me too. Are you kidding? Do you remember that day?
Yes.
I'm like,
I've always been a sucker for a sad song.
I love a sad song.
Wait,
and
what
I have
song
no
was
problem.
it?
Someone Like You.
Someone Like You.
What the fuck is that? You're just singing like I know
Oh,
what
no,
you were
no,
just
no,
singing.
I was
but
just singing an
you-
80s hair band.
You really were.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
exactly. What
I
you're
was-
saying.
yeah.
Someone's Like You is about like, you know, you met someone else who's like me and like enjoy your life and moving on. Mike and I like the sadness of it all. So.
I like getting put into a sad moment once in a while.
I like to just cry. So yeah.
It's been a while. I haven't
You haven't cried in a while?
I haven't cried in a while.
Go put on the
Have you?
Adele song. No, I haven't cried anymore. I don't cry anymore. I've lost all emotion. After you get divorced twice, there's nothing left.
You're dead inside.
I don't have enough money to cry anymore. So I'm just like, it's enough.
How'd the second? Meanwhile, well, I don't want to talk. We're not going to talk about the specific girl, but like what it happened. Everything happened fast.
Yeah. You know what? I met someone very smart. So I was like, you know, she's too smart for me. So I tried to be smarter. But, you know, I started reading and like learning. I was going to go back to school, you know, like just for shit I wasn't even interested in, just so I could have conversations
That's
with her. But
amazing, by the
just,
way.
you know, she was too smart for me. So
I met her once.
she's a great girl. Too smart.
Yep. I
You
met her
know,
I met
my
her one
friend
time.
Andrew Leff told me though, he was right. He's like, you don't marry smart. You get a smart lawyer, you get a smart doctor. You want a dumb wife who has no idea what's going on. Okay, but I married a genius. I married an off the charts genius. So
Well, I think you should enjoy. Can't you just enjoy your singlehood for a minute? Can you?
that was
just
my
enjoy it?
plan. That was my plan. But I met someone I really like. So now what do you do? Like you end it, or you go, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to be happier when I go enjoy it. I'm going to go find, you know.
No, but you can really like somebody and just like not be all the way into
Really?
their heart like right away. I have mastered it.
I don't know. Well, I haven't seen who you're talking about, but when you get a real like
quality
quality,
on all levels.
like got it all going on, they don't put up with that. you know.
Yeah, you're
So,
right. I got to get out of that zone.
You got to get out of the Russian mail order hooker stuff. And like,
They're all over my building.
I know
You've seen my building.
I've seen your building.
I think you lived in there for a while.
It's like,
You should have been with us on Monday at Rock and Riley's. We did pretty well in there on Monday night between me and Kevin. We were like talking to like 5 or 6 different girls.
Really?
You give Stock Tip Dave a number, he calls a girl 74 times.
No.
He doesn't understand why they're not calling back. I go, Dave, sit back.
Did you ever see
You're
that?
done calling.
Have you seen that Amy Schumer sketch called "Miladies"? If you haven't seen this, watch this. It's the fucking funniest thing ever. But it's like these dudes who like befriend girls and then they start doing like favors for them, but the girls never realize that they think they've become the boyfriend. It's really funny. You
gotta
gotta
check
watch
that.
it. Yeah.
Was that off her show? On the
Off her
comedy-
show? Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't there a minute you were going to do something with her back in the day? Did you? I felt like you had a meeting.
You know what?
with
I
her.
wish I had. You know what? My ex-girlfriend, who was kind of like, you know, she was pretty smart. She made me drive down to Orange County. I mean, this is like 7 years ago before Amy really hit. She's like my favorite comedian. And I always think, God, I'm such a schmuck. Like Judd Apatow, I mean, obviously he was bigger than me, but he immediately said, let's figure out something to do. I don't know. I just said hello and met her and said, you're amazing. And I left. I didn't say why. I wonder if we could do something, you know, but she's so freaking funny. So
That's the line in Hollywood. You just got to say, let's do something.
that's what people do. I never did that. I never
You
used
never
that
did
line.
that.
I just waited.
I never
you know,
did that.
I always waited for people to ask me to do something. So, and they never do. It's really weird. So it's,
The one thing, Doug, that I still even though things are good, things are fine. You know, we'll see what happens with it. But one thing you always had over a lot of people, discipline. And because you didn't like going out,
yeah.
you didn't even like writing. It wasn't
still
like,
don't like
you
writing.
don't enjoy the process.
No.
I actually enjoy sitting down, banging something out, and
That's
then 3
great.
hours later, I'm like, whoa, I actually like that feeling. You never liked it, but all the time that I was going out to the clubs with Connolly and Leo and the whole crew and doing my wild shit for 10 years, you were putting in those hours alone at your giant computer, you know what I mean, at your
Yeah.
desk with your soft fingers, you know what I mean, just banging away
Yep,
at the keys.
I
And I had
was.
to say that you put the hours in,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
weren't about going out. You were in bed. That all served you well.
You know, there's very few people who can do both. You know, it's and God bless you if you can. But you know, like I see it with like Matt Harvey. You watch this guy who all he had to do was put 10 years in of his life. Then he could have done whatever he wanted, and he just partied away a $250 million baseball contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, I didn't know that about him, but now that you say that, I've met him before, and I saw him at Goal, and he must be a wild dude because I only met him one time, and he was just partying.
I've been hearing about him for 5 years. He's out till 4 a.m. for games, this and that, and this and that. I mean, this guy, all he had to do, he really needed 3 good years. 3 good years, and all of a sudden he signs 7 years for $240 million. You know, you got to put it in. You got to put it in your prime. You know.
No, but are you saying did he get cut or something?
Yeah. The Mets got rid of him. And,
Really?
And he never got the big contract. Now he's on the Reds. He's got a shot if he can turn it around somehow. But you know, he was on path for $35 million a year. He's probably making $5 right now, and it'll be over if he doesn't have a good year. You know.
There's some truth to there's a quote that says discipline is the only way to freedom, like
Yeah.
like to be disciplined, and there's a damn truth to it. I don't care what you
Well,
do.
you also, you know, in
can't-
our business, it's like athletes. You gotta, you know, there's very few people that get to go have 50-year careers. You gotta maximize it at the height. You
Yep.
gotta take advantage of it because you never know. No matter what you're doing or what you are, all of a sudden, you know, you find you can't work in this business. It's not like if you're a great lawyer, you just work and retire when you're 75 years old. So,
Right.
So you gotta take advantage of it.
I think it's a good time to be a little, just because there's so many outlets now, but I
Yeah.
think it's a good time to be like a little bit multifaceted.
Yeah.
So like my stand up is fun and great, and I could go off and like do, you know, make a decent living with that. But then like the writing, there's a lot more platforms.
Yeah.
So maybe it is a good time to just not just be a one.
Yeah.
I always thought like you do one thing and do one thing well.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of
Well, I think this business, they all kind of interchange. There's so many people who write, direct, sing, dance, whatever it is. So, I mean, if you have if you have the talents, you should try to maximize them all, you know.
I want to get Connolly in here and have him talk about the like directing the Gotti movie, the
Yeah.
torture that he went through.
Well, yeah, you should definitely talk to him.
Because I've been with him two critical moments in his career. The one was introducing him to you and making him go to lunch, even though Chuck says he made him go to lunch and Wahlberg says he forced him to lunch. We all have the same story. But when he was when they told him he said no to the Gotti movie. We were at Goal, and he was texting back and forth with like the producers because they were only giving him like 24 days to do it or whatever. And I was like, yo, Kev, just be firm and say, give me 30 days and I'll do this thing. Give me 30 days. They're never going to do it. And he texted, give me 30 days. And I got him 30 days.
Right.
So basically, I got Connolly the Gotti movie.
Did
I got him on Entourage. I got him on Gotti. The least you could do, Kev, is help us get Single Mike done.
He said he's ready to go. He said he's going to help you.
So I got to just put this little like 2-paragraph thing together for these Detroit
Why don't you
guys.
just call Golden. Tell him to fund it.
He would do it. He
I
actually
know he
would do it. I didn't even think about that.
I'm a producer now.
Yeah, you are a producer anyway. Maybe I should call Golden because
of course you should call him.
The funniest is, listen, those guys have not made their money back.
Right.
They spent way too much money on my man.
Right.
They just spent too much money.
Right.
Rappaport wanted a trailer. They gave it to him. They gave Stamos a trailer. Brian Callen never been in a movie in his life. He got a trailer. I kept telling him, fellas, not everybody needs a trailer. Settle down. You're spending too much money. You overpaid me. You know
Don't overpay everybody else.
Yeah, you're doing enough. But I saw Golden. He was in town like a month ago. And he's like, what's the next thing? I'm like, the next thing? You want to do something else? He's like, yeah, I just want to figure out what it is. And he always brings you up because, that's where the whole thing came from. So maybe I will. Maybe we call Golden.
You should definitely call him.
I'll call him right on the podcast. Plug him in on the phone.
I like it.
Get 200 on him right now.
That's how you can do it. That's how Billions started. I hired those guys to write a hedge fund show for HBO, Brian and David. And then I was sitting in Kenny's office, and Aaron Ross Sorkin was like, I got this hour idea for a hedge fund show. I'm like, you know what? I just had these guys write a half-hour idea. I should put you together. And I called Brian and David. I said, hey, you guys should meet. What do you think about turning it into an hour drama? They were like, interesting. Let us think about it. I never heard back. Next thing I know, somehow they got together without me and went and fucking made this show. So,
wow.
Now I don't like Billions. I actually have never seen Billions.
Whatever it is, and I don't know what happened in between that, but that's what happened. They were paid to write a hedge fund show because of me, that I came up with the idea at HBO. And the weirdest part is I was on Brian's podcast, and like, I'm so fucking senile at this point. And like, I don't even know what's going on, but he's like, what are you working on? I tell him what I'm working on. What are you working on? He starts telling me Billions, and I'm like, why does this sound so fucking familiar? I'm like, wait a second. That's fucking, I came up with this. And not the specifics of that drama show, but the world set in a hedge fund world and all of that stuff. So
it's so funny, man. When you're somebody that kind of like lives by a code, like a certain code, you always think like, I could never just like take something. And even if I took like 3/4 of what it was going to be, I feel like I would at least make a phone call and be like, hey man, listen,
everybody's got to live how they live. I don't ask and I don't take from anybody. You know what I mean? It's like, but
see, I'm loyal. I would try to involve everybody.
It's a strange thing, but it's, maybe karma's a payback or not, but you should, that's how I work. So
right. Saget says hello. I saw him last night.
Hello, Bob. How's he doing?
He's good. Saget rolled into Danny A's birthday with sunglasses. Looking
cool.
I
saw him on Instagram. He looked good. He looks happy. When's the wedding?
October.
Oh, it's going down. Wow.
Yeah, it's going down. Like it's a 2-parter. It's like the legal marriage, wherever you just go in front of one person, boom, they're going to do it, and then it's going to go down in October here in LA.
Oh, I better get an invite, Bob.
You're going to get an invite, 100%. I know you're going to get an invite.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah. I feel like I met Bob. I feel like Bob and I became, Bob.
You met because of me?
I met him because of you.
Yeah.
He was great on Entourage when he was on that show.
Amazing.
That's how I met Bob.
I love Bob. He's one of the funniest.
I loved all the guests yet. I've seen every episode of that show.
Cool.
By the way, I've been on the road with Bob for 10 years because of that. And it was because I met him on the set, and then you were like, oh, you guys should talk if you ever cross paths on the road. Right. I was performing in Tempe. He was coming into Tempe.
The real lesson of this podcast is that everything Mike has besides his women, which even I probably have a handle in that too.
Miss Florida.
Whoa, how do I look on this thing? I didn't know it was like over there. It's
you look
side,
good.
my profile. I don't want 3 chins.
Am I even on my own podcast? Oh, yeah. I better get that single shot.
All right, what else?
Oh no, you were about. What would you just say? Oh, everything.
Second.
Oh,
yeah, you owe me everything. It's fine.
I remember.
Have I ever asked for anything? Ever?
Nothing.
Thank you.
You bought me a lot of lunches too. Breakfast. Doug always had the lock on a great breakfast spot.
John and Vinny's, by the way, it's the best breakfast in this city.
Remember the old place we used to go on Pico?
Yeah, O'Groats. I still go to O'Groats. I know O'Groats is amazing too, but John and Vinny's is totally different. Like and you can get. I mean, have you ever been there?
I tried to go yesterday. I've yet to go because every time I go, there's like a 45-minute wait.
You can go for breakfast. You go
Drop
there
Doug's
early for
name.
breakfast, and it is unbelievable.
John and Vinny's has a great breakfast.
The best breakfast I've ever had. I mean, and El Groats is right there also. This place is unfucking believable.
Really?
Yeah, they have a breakfast pizza. You'll die. These eggs, I don't know what they do to the eggs. They're amazing. Jelly donuts, homemade jelly donuts. But they'll also give you they'll give you a carbonara at 8 a.m. And I get it.
Wow.
And it's
Doug is
amazing.
the skinniest fat person.
I'm fat
ever.
inside.
I've heard about the pasta, the pizza. It's like
You know, go there for breakfast before 9 a.m. on a weekday. You can get in, and it's the best.
You've never seen more of an emotional eater than you.
I know.
You go down, and you never seem like you're like sick from it. Like you never seem like you feel bad. But I've seen you overeat so many times, but never really look like you've ever gained weight. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and then I married someone who doesn't really love food, so we like go to dinner, and I just be like, "All right, do you want to try?" No, I don't want to try this. Like, I'm like, she's like, "You don't have to be mad." I'm like, "You know what? I know I don't, and I know it's so wrong of me because you're such a great person. But the fact that you don't want to share my food, like, I don't know what else there is in life. I just don't know what it is, you know." And I remember Paul Reiser used to have that joke that you get married so you can order the dish that was like your second option, so you can try it. You know, I'm gonna get the steak, you get the fish. You know, but
Sure.
So.
I've seen a few of your posts on Instagram where you're posting some food. So it looks like you go to some great places.
Yeah.
Oh no, Doug's the original Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, I mean, I should have been the food god. I'm very upset because I would have been very happy just being a food blogger. I would love to do nothing else in my life but eat, and like people pay me to eat. So he figured out a niche that was like much smarter than me. But yeah, I just eat. It's what I do all day. Going to eat. Yeah.
I think I should have been eating more because I think the vertigo came on because of something with my like low blood pressure from not eating properly.
I don't know. Mike's gone through so many types of weird health
ailments.
trying.
They're
No,
they're never
not even-
anything.
I'm not even talking about ailments. I'm trying to fix yourself. You like a 200-day juice cleanse. I'm not going to drink for a year and a half. I'm going to do this.
I'm
like
done with all that
moderation.
bullshit.
Everything in moderation.
a
Everything in
fact.
moderation.
You hadn't drank since December, right?
One doctor emailed me last night. He's like, no dairy right now. No, cut out the eggs, dairy. And then like he threw in nuts. I'm like, what the fuck are you going to eat if you can't eat a little
He doesn't want you to eat nuts.
He said like no nuts.
Nuts are supposed to be great for you.
Yeah, and they up the something called Teramine in your whatever, man. Everybody gets this damn vertigo. I'll be fine. I just don't like it. I feel like everything is like death.
Upside down. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, anything that happens to me, I'm highly sensitive.
Yeah, I know that.
You know?
I know it.
You do know that. Anyway,
All right,
yo,
kids. What
listen,
else? I got to freaking go. I'm packing. I'm leaving town tomorrow.
Where are you going?
Italy.
Really?
You're so calm. See, if I was going to Italy tomorrow, I'd be nervous. I don't know why I'd be nervous, but
nervous.
you've traveled so much. You've done so much at this point. You're just not. It's just you're in sweatpants. Like you're just gonna go in that
I'm
outfit.
nervous. I'm going with someone I know for like 5 days also, so I'm very nervous.
I thought you said that you were gonna not go to Italy with. Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I made a switch. I made a switch.
All right. Quick switch. Listen, next time you book a trip and something goes down, call me. I'll take the ticket.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's what I did. I'm going with my cousin now, so.
I always said that through the Doug and through the show, I made $700,000 in fun. If fun could be translated to money, I'm the most paid person in the city right now, because I could name 1,000 things we did. Because you didn't really, you were busy. You had to write.
I don't care about that stuff.
You were typing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't care about it either, but I do enjoy it.
No, you like to have fun.
You put me in Vegas.
You're
at a
happy,
pool.
Doug. You're happy, Doug.
I'm a happy Doug with great athleticism, strong shoulders. You know what I mean?
We'll get you on the pickleball court. I'm going to humiliate you.
I kind of like that. Like we should have played brothers back in the day. Like who kind of like just go
Yeah.
in completely different paths. You know what I mean?
We did.
Like you took a right. When I met you, you quit comedy, and I started comedy. That was when I started. I don't even know if I'd ever been on stage.
You
when I
weren't.
met
You
you.
had.
I'm not even kidding.
You hadn't.
I hadn't.
Had not.
Isn't that crazy?
Should make a video of you guys playing pickleball. That'd be interesting.
No,
be
once
huge.
my head's clear, I'm into pickleball.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. I play with like Sam Querrey. He was like number 15 in the world in tennis. I mean, like Marty Fish. He was like number 6 at one point. I mean, like serious guys. I'll show you some stuff.
Show me some stuff.
I'll show you some
I want to get into pickleball because it sounds safe. We'll put you against.
Sounds safe.
We'll put you, we'll get you up to Leo's house and you can play Leo because, oddly enough, Leo's oddly, weirdly athletic.
I know
in
he's
his own way.
athletic. I know he's athletic. And 3 years
With
ago,
tennis,
three
like
years
with-
ago, he was talking to Connolly about beating me for 10,000 a game. So I welcome that. So you call him after this, and you set that up, and we'll do that,
Done.
and you'll get 1,000 a game out of the wins. All right.
Perfect. I take a dip on both sides.
All right, good.
All right, yo.
All right, good deal.
Thank you, Doug.
You got it.
Thank
you. Got
you.
it.
All right, this was Stories That Need to Be Told. Mike Young, Stock Tip Dave. I want to thank Doug Ellin, my friend for so long.
Love you, brother.
Love you, brother. And we're out. You can find me at The Real Mike Young on Instagram, Stock Tip Dave, Mr. Doug Ellin on Instagram, and look forward to hanging again, Doug. Later.
See you later.
Thanks, Aaron.
This FaceTime is still going.